The search intensifies for a man declared to be armed and dangerous.
We don't know if he's in Janesville. We don't know if he's in Rock County. He could be in Washington, D.C. We simply don't know.
Revolution. It's time for change.
The stepfather of Joseph Jakubowski told me he is as dangerous as they say he is.
It's really scary to know that your kids potentially could be at danger.
Breaking now, police have arrested Wisconsin fugitive Joseph Jakubowski.
Make no mistake, what could have happened here was a mass shooting.
This is a Good Friday in more than one way.
This is News 3 at 6.
That's an updated mugshot as people across southern Wisconsin are relieved tonight. The national manhunt for a Janesville fugitive is over.
Police arrested 32-year-old Joseph Jakubowski early this morning without incident. He was found at a campsite near Viola along the Vernon County and Richland County line. This area is about an hour southeast of La Crosse, and officers received a tip about this location last night and arrested him around 6 o'clock this morning.
26 agencies were involved in the search for Jakubowski. He was in federal court this afternoon. As shown in this sketch, he's charged with stealing guns from the Armageddon supply shop in Janesville. That was April 4th. Now, if convicted of just that charge, he faces 10 years in prison. He's also responsible for writing a threatening manifesto and mailing it to the President of the United States, Donald Trump. News 3 has been covering the nationwide manhunt since day one. We have live team coverage now as communities across southern Wisconsin try to get back to life as normal.
We start with Rock County reporter Jenna Middahl with the latest from police. Good evening, Jenna.
Good evening, Eric and Charlotte. Well, officials say they were prepared to keep searching for Jakubowski for days and even weeks, but they're glad the manhunt has finally ended and that no one was hurt. For more than a week, hundreds of law enforcement officials put all their resources into finding one man.
Make no mistake, what could have happened here was a mass shooting. That was our concern.
As more than 700 tips poured in from around the state, it was one tip that officials had been waiting for.
It was a good tip from the farmer.
And it ended just as we had anticipated and how we had hoped. It ended because a citizen gave a clue.
That clue allowed at least 60 to 70 law enforcement officials to get into place and take Jakubowski into custody, all without any use of force.
We are grateful for a safe resolution to this public safety threat.
Officials say Jakubowski looked disheveled when they found him at a makeshift campsite, and he had a full arsenal of weapons.
There were 4 handguns, 1 long gun, multiple boxes of ammunition, 1 samurai-like sword, a helmet and ballistic vest, containers of flammable liquids, and a copy of his manifesto.
Those weapons show just how bad this situation could have ended, which makes officials so much more grateful.
We could not have asked for this matter to end better. Today is truly a very good Friday for all of us here in Rock County.
Well, Jakubowski is being held here in the Rock County Jail, and investigators are still trying to figure out how he got to Vernon County after they believe he burned his own car, and they're also trying to figure out where the other weapons they think he stole might be.
Jenna Middahl, thank you.
Melina Jones joins us now along the Vernon-Richland County line. She talked to those living near that spot where Jakubowski was found. Melina?
Well, that's right. Jakubowski set up a campsite in this wooded hillside behind me. And the only reason why he was found is because the man who owns this property decided to take a ride on his ATV. Now, this all happened around 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. After Jeff Gorn found Jakubowski, who had set up a blue tarp on his property. Gorn told him that he could stay the night but would have to leave in the morning. Jakubowski refused to leave. At that time, Gorn did not know who he was, but after having an hour-long conversation with him, he felt something was wrong and called authorities. Gorn says Jakubowski seemed lost, exhausted, and in need of help.
He actually was personable. He actually was somebody who was willing to offer information. He never one time had talked about anything that he was doing that may be a problem in the future.
Now, neighbors on the other side of the hill said last night when they were made aware of the situation, they locked all their doors and said it was the first night they slept with a shotgun by their bedside and are glad that Jakubowski is now in custody. Now, Gorn is taking very little credit for this, but this could have ended very differently. Gorn actually has his degree in clinical psychology, and he said that Jakubowski told him that he was the only person that would listen to him. Gorn said he never felt threatened during that time. He just wanted to get him the help that he needed.
All right, Valina Jones along the Vernon-Richland County line tonight. Valina, thank you.
On this Good Friday, churchgoers in Janesville are feeling reassured by Jakubowski's arrest. Religious institutions had been targeted in his manifesto, and police dedicated extra patrols at services this week. Pastors in Janesville say many people skipped last Sunday's services out of concern for their safety. Now they say they are thankful for the peaceful end to a week of tension.
My immediate reaction was relief, that, oh, this is behind us and now we can move on. So just really a lot of good news. Yeah. It is a Good Friday.
None of the pastors we spoke to in Janesville said they canceled last week's services, but a Sun Prairie church did cancel after a possible sighting of Jakubowski. It turned out that it wasn't him, but the church wanted to play it safe. The manhunt prompted school lockdowns all across southern Wisconsin. With the holiday weekend, many districts have today off and have not revealed security plans for next week.
The groundwork to make this type of peaceful capture happen was years in the making.
Dave Delosier shows us just why that happened.
It's not something that they just get a group of officers together and say, let's go get them.
In a grove of trees was what law enforcement officers from all over the state had been looking for. Once they found Joseph Jakubowski, the plan for his capture would have been extensive and with contingencies for everything.
The threat that this person of this caliber poses to the general public, and that the chance of him potentially escaping is something that you cannot consider. I mean, you have to capture him.
To get someone like Jakubowski to give himself up would take an overwhelming presence of law enforcement and the use of psychology on a man on the run for a week.
The police show of force is a psychological component to the person as well, especially a person who has been on the run, who may be getting tired, and realize that they're not going to be able to escape.
But to preserve officer safety against a potentially heavily armed suspect, law enforcement relied on technology. A drone was used to get eyes on Jakubowski.
The drones can fly right up to the windows and look inside. It gets eyes on the person and the environment without threatening any law enforcement officers there and the subjects.
The last piece to the puzzle is getting the suspect to realize they have one and only one way out.
There's a combination of a show of force, but on the flip side of that, there's also the reassuring words that if the person follows commands and gives themselves up peacefully, nobody is going to get hurt.
Which is exactly how this ended, which is exactly why law enforcement will study all that went right for the next time.
All of that is going to be used to make sure that, and hopefully, the next situation ends as peaceful as this one.
This is Dave Delosier, WISC News 3.
The drone used during the search is owned by the Middleton Police Department. Drone use by law enforcement continues to grow, and Madison College is teaching agencies how to use them, and just as important, how and when not to use them.
I want to mention the annual Easter egg hunt of the governor's executive residence is now back on. It was canceled yesterday because of security concerns. As the search for Jakubowski continued, the event will take place as planned tomorrow morning at 11. Stay with News 3 for the very latest on this story that continues to develop as the region returns to normal. We'll share any updates online. Channel3000.com will have more tonight, of course, on News 3 at 10.
Still ahead on News 3 at 6, new details about an overnight fire that sent 2 people to the hospital.
And the city of Madison's property values make their biggest climb in years. We have a look at the new numbers and what it means for homeowners after the break. Welcome back. 2 people are in the hospital after a fire that happened on Madison's north side.
Firefighters were called to a home on Nevada Road around 10:30 last night. This is in the neighborhood north of Warner Park and a few blocks west of Sherman Avenue. Firefighters were still putting out hot spots this morning. No word on how those injured are doing this evening. Funeral services are set for a Wisconsin state trooper killed on duty this week. Services are Monday evening for Anthony Borostowski at Sparta High School starting at 5 o'clock. Military and law enforcement honors will follow in the school parking lot as Trooper Borostowski was also in the National Guard. The Oak Creek native was killed in a single vehicle rollover crash along the interstate in Sauk County early Tuesday morning. He was 34 years old.
Madison's property tax base will get a significant bump, jumping $19 million since last year. And on the whole, property values have jumped more than 10%. The average price of a single-family home in Madison now at the assessed value of $269,000. That's up about $15,000 from last year. Mayor Soglin says those values were more than the city had anticipated, but the more promising news was a jump of more than 16% in commercial property values in the city.
It's an improvement, and it helps in reversing a trend that went on for too long, where a greater and greater portion of the property tax was the responsibility of single-family homeowners.
Single-family home values have now more than doubled in Madison in just the last 20 years. Within 3 years, the value of all real estate in Madison could surpass the value of all property in the city of Milwaukee. Dozens of Wisconsin dairy farmers are hoping to make some progress with their situation with Grassland Dairy. That dairy processor told 75 farmers that starting May 1st, the company will no longer purchase their milk and ship it to Canada. The state of Wisconsin has set up an information hotline for farmers affected by that decision.
Coming up, some local students are shining at a regional robotics competition.
We're showing off their designs and skills. It's next at 6.
Showers and a few thunderstorms tonight into tomorrow morning will lead to a mild day tomorrow with highs in the mid-70s. Could see some more storms late in the day tomorrow, but a nice Easter Sunday is on the way. Of the full forecast in a few minutes.
Students from across the Midwest are in La Crosse this weekend to show off their robotics skills.
The winners from the Seven Rivers Regional will move on to the national competition in St. Louis later this month. Students had 6 weeks to design, build, wire, and program their steam-powered machines for the competition.
It gives them the ability to look at things in a different way, creative problem solving, learning engineering, programming, welding, wiring, all these different things.
The competition is free and open to the public, and students from 6 states are participating.
There is a new state cabbage champion. Believe it or not, there is an award for that. Medford third grader Sydney Spurl is this year's winner. Now, she grew a cabbage that weighs more than 35 pounds. That's a lot of cabbage. Nearly 15,000 students from over 700 schools participated in the contest.
Oh my goodness.
Spurl, she received a $1,000 scholarship, accepted the award today from the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection. And another sign it's almost summertime. The Dane County Farmers Market starting its outdoor season around the Capitol Square. Tomorrow, the market will run from 6:15 in the morning to 1:45 in the afternoon. You can now enjoy your fresh vegetables, baked goods, cheese, and other items every Saturday on the square until fall. And Gary, we hope the weather will be good.
Just
for
like
that.
for my wife Jean, she'll be out there at 6:15 tomorrow morning. She's there every Saturday.
Lead the way,
It's
Jean.
a favorite for a lot of Madisons, and hopefully they're not dodging raindrops the whole time.
There might be some rain tomorrow morning, and then we'll probably see a break midday and then another round of showers and thunderstorms later tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night as a cold front comes through. The first showers are already pushing through southern Wisconsin, but you can see them as weakening as they push toward the north. If you look closely, there were a couple of flashes of lightning down south of Beloit, but for the most part, these have just been rain showers. But as we widen out the radar view, you can see more thunderstorms across parts of central Illinois, central Iowa. These are lifting toward the north and east. Now, the air is a little bit cooler, a little bit more stable across Wisconsin. The more unstable air is back to the west in Iowa. There's a marginal risk of severe thunderstorms for tonight for much of western Iowa. But tomorrow, there's a marginal risk of severe thunderstorms for much of southern Wisconsin. This is mainly for the late afternoon, early evening hours along and ahead of the cold front. There could be a storm with gusty winds or some hail. The more significant severe weather threat will be farther to the south and west into parts of southwestern Iowa, where there's a slight risk of severe thunderstorms. Visible satellite imagery shows the sunshine that we had earlier today giving way to more clouds. Here are the thicker clouds. You can see those thunderstorms definitely building up over much of Iowa. As we check out the live view from the Queen Bee Radio Skycam and Platteville, you can see some breaks in the clouds, but also some thicker clouds on the western horizon. The WISC Skycam shows a few more breaks in the clouds. It looked a little more ominous about an hour ago. And the Edgewater Skycam still looking pretty cloudy over the downtown area. The Almanac for today. High temperature made it up to 64 after starting out at 43, so temperatures well above normal for today. And right now we're sitting at 61 with mostly cloudy skies. Winds are out of the east at 13 miles per hour. Those winds will shift around to the south tomorrow, and that will boost temperatures up in a big way. In fact, right now temperatures are mainly in the upper 50s to lower 60s through much of Wisconsin, but just to our south, Rockford, Illinois is at 70, Iowa City at 73 degrees. Some of those temperatures held down a little bit because of the showers and thunderstorms, but definitely you can see the easterly winds here shifting to the south here, and right in between there's a warm front that's lifting northward, and as that warm front lifts to the north, we'll see these scattered showers and thunderstorms for tonight into tomorrow morning, and then there might be a little bit of a break. More showers and storms that haven't developed yet will come in from the west as a cold front in the western Dakotas moves eastward. You can see most of the shower and thunderstorm activity is along and north of the warm front. Not much activity along the cold front, but the air is becoming a little more humid farther out to the east. Temperatures are in the 50s and 60s here, south of the warm front, 70s to the lower 80s, and we'll be in the mid-70s for tomorrow. But notice that cold front is in an area where the dew points are just barely getting into the 50s. As that front moves eastward, the dew point temperatures climb into the 60s, and we'll see more showers and thunderstorms develop later tomorrow afternoon. So our forecast for tonight calls for mostly cloudy skies, scattered showers, and a few thunderstorms. Temperatures dropping to about 59 and then holding steady pretty much around 60 through the night. Tomorrow, showers and storms in the morning, and then redeveloping late in the day, in between the high temperature hitting 74, and Easter Sunday be partly sunny, breezy, and mild with a high temperature of 68 degrees. Future track shows the showers and thunderstorms overnight, then a little bit of a break tomorrow morning. Temperatures climbing into the 70s before the next round of storms develops in the afternoon and evening. By early Easter Sunday morning, they should clear out, and we'll see lots of sunshine for Easter with high temperatures in the 60s. The rainfall amounts could be around an inch to an inch and a half in some of the heavier locations, but otherwise the 7-day forecast keeps temperatures above normal. Another round of thunderstorms Tuesday and a chance of thunderstorms on Thursday.
Not many people are giving the Milwaukee Bucks much of a chance to advance in the NBA playoffs, but Giannis is. Stories coming up in sports.
Hi, I'm Leah Lynchad. Coming up tonight on the 1 hour Fox 47 News, the latest on the nationwide manhunt that came to an end today. More on the investigation that's following the arrest of Joseph Jakubowski. Plus, your Foxcast and sports all ahead at 9.
The Brewers have just started Game 2 of their series in Cincinnati. Left-hander Tommy Milone is starting for Milwaukee tonight against Scott Feldman. At Wrigley Field, the Pittsburgh Pirates beat the Cubs this afternoon. Francisco Cervelli's two-run double in the 6th. That's the game-winning hit. Final score, Pirates 4, Cubs 2. And here's one. The Chicago White Sox play at Minnesota tonight, and they're making history. It's the first time in Major League history one team has started 3 outfielders with the same last name, Willie, Lurie, and Avisail Garcia. Not many are giving the Milwaukee Bucks much of a chance to win their first-round NBA playoff series with the Toronto Raptors that starts tomorrow afternoon in Toronto at 4:30. The predictions website 538 has the Raptors with a 77% chance of winning the series. Now, this is a best-of-7 first-round series. Toronto won 3 of the 4 meetings during the regular season. But based on the way they've played the last couple of months, the Bucks feel they can at least give the Raptors some trouble and perhaps shock the world.
In the second half, after the All-Star break, we're playing great basketball, team basketball. A lot of people expect a lot from us to do better than 2 years ago, and we will. We're just chasing. I love when we, as a team, we love when we chase. So just coming in there, just chase. Chase people down and try to get as much as we can from every game.
The Badger football spring game is a week from tonight. In fact, it's almost exactly a week from tonight. It'll kick off just after 6:30, almost exactly a week from tonight. The Badgers' defense has been among the best in the country the last few years, and they're hoping this year's will be just as good. Derek Tyndall anchors a secondary that'll have a couple of new starters with the departures of Leo Musso and Sojourn Shelton. But Tyndall relishes his role of stepping up to be the leader in the secondary. He knows that this spring he has to help set the tone for what's ahead.
I feel like most of our DBs feed off of me. So if I come out here and bring that excitement, they'll bring that excitement too. And, that's why every day I step on the field, I try to be, I try to be the lighter to, this flame. I got to get the flame going for our defense.
And you're looking at a historic kicker. 18-year-old Becca Longo is the first female to earn a football scholarship. Adams State University in Alamosa, Colorado is a Division II school. They signed Longo to a national letter of intent. She's the first female scholarship football player at a Division II school or higher ever. She's also going to play basketball at Adams State. There have been about a dozen women who have played college football at Division II or higher, but none until now has received a scholarship. Charlotte, I saw you clapping.
Very proud. That's awesome.
Yeah. You can make the kick. You can make the kick.
Yeah, that's right. Doesn't matter how big or what you are. All right, let's go to Gary and look at this holiday weekend forecast.
Should be mild for tomorrow, mid-70s, upper 60s for Easter Sunday. Now, we will see some shower or thunderstorm chances tomorrow morning and then again later tomorrow afternoon. And Easter Sunday right now looks to be dry and mild, maybe just a little bit breezy, so I'm giving it 4 stars on the comfort
Not
rating
bad.
there.
Bring on those 70s.
Right.
That's great. Thanks, Gary.
Thanks, Gary, and thanks for joining us for News 3 at 6.
Have a great evening. We'll see you back here at 10 o'clock.
WISC TV3, winner of 3 National Edward R. Murrow Awards, including Overall Excellence.